Hey everyone, it's me again. Today I am not going into any deep video. I just want to do something really light. Hold on a second. Let me make sure this. Okay, here we go. Do something really light. Keep it easy and just chill. Anyway. A few of my friends have been wanting me to do a review on the trucking situation where basically review the companies that I've worked for. Now, some of them is I started back in 2016 is when I started driving. So this year makes 10 years. And I'd say that, in my opinion, based on what I've seen and what I know and what I hear, these companies haven't gotten any better. So take that and do with it what you will, okay? But I will tell you that I started out at CR England, and basically the only thing that I did there was I went to now let me back up. When I started trucking, I knew nothing about the industry, okay? Literally, the only thing that I knew about it was that these trucks are big, they're metal, and I wanted to drive them. And, I grew up, doing the whole honking thing, getting, drivers to, back then when we were growing up, the main trucks on the road were red, white, and blue. And, of course, they were all the square body trucks. And, me and my brother would take turns picking which color we wanted, red or blue. And, of course, we had a competition of how many we would see and how many we could get to honk for us. And it was a lot of fun. And then my dad got CB radios in his car, and we would talk to the drivers. My dad lived in Mississippi and my mom lived in Louisiana, so they weren't together. So I would go and visit my dad, and he would come get me every other weekend, and then 2 weeks out of the summer for each month that we were out for school. Back then we had 3 months of summer, not like this year, like this stuff that they have now. They have all these teacher in-service days. I don't know how our teachers did it without teacher in-service days. They must have been superhuman. I don't know, but I know it's necessary for teachers and they need a break and all that. But instead of having to do all that at home. But it just sucks for the kids because they get less summertime, and the adults get less chances of taking vacation, when they want. So it's hard for everybody. But anyway, when he got the CB radio in, it made me fall in love with the industry, the brotherhood, okay? Before that, I was in love with the trucks, but after that, we all had handles. Like my dad was Raging Cajun, I was Baby Doll, his wife was Barbie Doll, and at the time my brother wasn't with us because he had divorced her. But anyway, my dad is a big reason why, that whole scenario of driving back and forth is a huge reason why I'm in the trucking industry now. And God, the way he set it up was, I used to travel a lot with my dad, and then my aunt and uncle, his sister and her husband would take me all over, everywhere they would go camping, go on vacation. My grandparents would take me camping. We would go on trips, not very far, but and then I had my parents would take me on trips. They used to call me a gypsy because I traveled so much, and I loved it. I loved living out of a suitcase. It was a blast. I loved meeting new people, and even though that's also terrifying. But so all of those things set me up to become a truck driver. And there's a lot more to that God did to pave the way for me to get to this point where I became a truck driver. But that's just the basics of it. And so coming into this industry, I literally knew nothing about it at all, okay? And I chose CR England because they had been around what seemingly was the longest. They had been here for over 100 years, and I'm like, well, they've been doing it for 100 years, so clearly they're doing something right. And I started out in Salt Lake City, Utah at their headquarters. And honestly, it was a great experience. The whole schooling part was a great experience. I loved it. We had a class of about, I want to say like, I want to say 100, but that might be a lot. Maybe 60. Maybe 60 was more like it. I don't know, but our driving team, we had 4 drivers, me and 3 other guys. And then on our backing team, we had, I think, 8 people. And so, it was a lot. It was a lot of people. Anyway, I love the school part, okay? But I will tell you this about CR England, okay? They will put any butt in the seat. They don't care. All they're doing is pushing people through. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that they get grant money from the government for every person that they pass through the seats. People don't stay there. People don't last there. They don't require but maybe 6 months of experience before they start training. They are very unsafe. They claim that safety is the most important thing, and maybe when Chester and Rodney first started the company, I truly believe that when they started the company, it was a really great company and it was an absolutely safe company. But at the time that I started, it was down to like the 4th generation, and all they cared about was the bottom line. They didn't care about safety. They didn't care about the driver. So that was wild. Okay, I had my first trainer was there supposedly for 10 years, and it started getting weird towards the end. I was supposed to be in training for like over the road training for 3 months. And after the 2nd month, he had a CPAP. He started sleeping on the floor next to me. Like, okay, so when we're driving, when the truck is moving, we're not supposed to be sleeping on the top bunk. So I'd sleep on the bottom bunk. And then oftentimes he would stop and take a nap mid-shift, which I didn't mind. I signed up for it. And he didn't wake me up at this point. After 2 months, he stopped waking me up and would start sleeping on the floor next to me. And I'm like, okay, this is really weird. I actually woke up one time and saw him on the floor, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And one of 2 things was happening. Either he wanted to be closer to me or he was giving me special treatment. Either way, I did not sign up for that. I didn't want that. So, that, and then, I mean, people tend to open up to me more because I'm very empathetic, and I don't gossip about people. I don't spread people's business. It's not my place to tell. So people feel safe telling me stuff. I don't pass judgment on people, you know, and I'm very open and vulnerable myself. And I feel like some people can misinterpret that. And I know that he was very lonely, and I felt bad for him because he had gone through a divorce not that long before, and, you know, was still struggling with being out here on the road and, you know, having an empty home to go to. And I told him that I was going to help him set up a dating profile on a trucker dating app after it was all over with. So I think that he started developing feelings for me. I just felt like that, and it just got weird. And towards the end, he started like, he would do this thing where he would we were in August, the hottest month of the year, in the desert, 3 digits, in the desert. And like, I can't handle dry heat. I'm from Louisiana. I can't handle it. And it would get, like, in these trucks, we don't have insulation. I mean, we have only so much. Okay, within 5 minutes, this thing turns into an oven. He would get out of the truck and turn the truck off and leave me in the sleeper. He did this 3 times. After the 3rd time, we were actually at the terminal. I said, that's it, I'm done. I'm getting off. Getting off the truck, I'm done. I told him I was done with trucking because at the time, I was not quite the woman I am today. And I was terrified of confrontation. I was, you know, still learning the industry. I didn't know what I could get away with and what would happen to me. So I just told him, I said, look, I'm done. This is not for me. I'm not cut out for this. So I got off the truck, got my stuff, and Went inside, told them I was going to wait for another trainer, which, you know, I honestly lied, because I needed a room at the terminal there. Got a room, got a shower, did all that. Scheduled a flight from there. It was like the next flight was like from 3 in the morning. Packed all my stuff and went to sleep and scheduled an Uber or a taxi from, or maybe I called the shuttle. I don't know. I got a ride from there to the airport at 3 in the morning. Well, 4 or 3 in the morning. I left, came back to Louisiana, and my husband talked me back into going back and getting another trainer and finishing, because he knew how important this was to me. And honestly, he was my greatest champion the whole time. And if it wasn't for him, I would have, like, I wanted to quit. I know just with CR England, I wanted to quit at least 10 times. And he wouldn't let me. Well, my second trainer kept trying to. He wasn't even a trainer for like a year. He hit a year while we were driving together, okay, for the last month. And he kept trying to trying to get me to go faster than I was comfortable with. Okay, and I mean, I wasn't like driving slow. I was only driving 5 under the speed limit. But I had never driven in the mountains before, let alone in a freaking 18-wheeler, okay? And he was like, well, they're not going to be happy with you if we're late delivering these loads. Now, we had never been late up until this point. And I told him, I said, I'll tell you what. If I'm late, or if we're late, I'll explain to them. And if they get upset, that's fine. You know, I'll deal with it, okay? But I'm not going to drive faster than I'm comfortable with. I don't want to die out here. So I ended up finishing my training there, upgraded to where I could get my CDL, and then I booked it out of there. At that point, okay, they had lied to me. I had set up to where me and, for our second portion of training, was supposed to be teaming up with another driver for 6 months. Me and my friend, who started at the same time, were supposed to be teaming up. Well, she was on the Atlantic coast. I was on the Pacific coast. Like, how the hell are we supposed to team up when we're on completely 2 different coasts, 2,000 miles away from each other? So that's when I realized they weren't trying to help us out. And I was not about to get in the truck with another freaking stranger after the 2 trainers I had at that point. So I went and got a hotel room, let them pay for it again, and let them believe that I was waiting for a teammate or whatever. And then I scheduled a bus ride from Fontana, California to Lafayette, Louisiana. It was a 44-hour bus ride. And honestly, it wasn't that bad. But left out there the next day, got a taxi, and then came home. And I was done with that. By the time I got home, while I was at the hotel, I had scheduled up to start with night transportation. I heard so many good things on the road. So many people said, oh, it's such a great company to work for, this and that. And I love their trucks. They looked so badass with the crest. It was just like the CR England trucks, you know, and being Knights of the Highway, you know, I was so excited about it. And I get over there, I'm pumped. Was working out of Gulfport, Mississippi, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I'm just going to let you know that it was such BS there. Every terminal operates differently. It was like every terminal is its own entity, like its own separate trucking company. Make it make sense. Like, what? That was very frustrating. And then another thing was, it didn't matter how long you were out. You could be out for 2 months straight. They only allowed you to be home for 3 days. If you needed to take an extra day, you had to turn your truck in. Like, if you got sick, you had to turn your truck in. And what else? Oh God, the bullying and the mentality there is like literal high school. They had a We Drive Night page that basically they had the cool kids operating, and there was a girl there who was basically throwing her shit around everywhere, and all the men loved her, of course, naturally. And she took me under her wing and was like, oh, you're such a great person, I just think you're the best, and blah 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 blah. And I mean, I fell for it because I wanted to be a part of the brotherhood so bad, and I just wanted to jump in head first, and I just wanted to, you know, immerse myself into it. And she basically lured me in to get all kinds of personal information about me, and then trashed me on the Facebook page, on the group. And they were see, me and my husband, when I came out here, we decided that because we were going to be away from each other, and this was the first time ever, we didn't want to give the devil any headway or any leverage over our marriage. Okay, so we decided we were going to combine all accounts. Okay, so there was no question. I didn't want him to question my loyalty out here or my faithfulness to him, because I'm in a male predominant industry out here. You know, I'm not trying to hook up. Let me tell you, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love my fellow drivers out here. I love the brotherhood, but there are some really trashy, sleazy people out here, and I'm talking about, like, they're out here hooking it up. They got girls in all kinds of different states, guys in all kinds of different states. Like, it's disgusting. And I wanted to make sure that my husband was secure in our relationship and knew that if he needed to access any of the accounts that I had out here, he had the absolute ability to. So we combined our Facebook page, and I didn't want guys sneaking into my DMs trying to hook up with me, because I didn't want that kind of drama. I ain't trying to be a and I mean, there were guys that were trying to do that. I mean, okay, so like I had to finish, let me back up. I had to finish my training at night because I didn't quite get I guess I didn't quite get all the hours that I needed. So because of that, actually I did. I don't understand why I needed to do that. Why did I need to do that? But I only did 2 weeks, like 1,500 miles instead of 30,000. Oh, I think it's because I didn't have a year's worth of experience. I don't remember. But I had to go with a trainer. And in my orientation class, there was a guy that was getting his training qualification for his girlfriend. And he seemed like very passionate about the industry. He knew what he was talking about. I felt comfortable with him after, talking to him and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what? I know this guy. I know what to expect. So I was like, hey, do you mind training me? Because I didn't want to end up with a stranger again. I had really bad PTSD about it. Dude. This dude had 5 women. 5 women out here. And, like, his girlfriend and 4 other women. The other women were like, they weren't all single either. And the dude was trying to hook up with me. Bro. He tried to make it seem like, whenever I got on the truck, he had all, like, okay, so we split the bunks, right? The bottom bunk is his, top bunk is mine. He had all of this stuff on top of the mattress, and he had a safe up there. Okay, supposedly it was too heavy to bring down. He was like, yeah, all my stuff's up there, I didn't get to move it, so we can share the bed, and we can just sleep opposite each other. I said, I'll tell you what. Instead of just telling him straight up no, because I knew the dude would fight me, I said, I'll tell you what. I'm going to call my husband, okay? I'm going to call my husband, and I'm going to tell him that, the situation, explain it to him, and I will explain to him that you are unable to move this safe, and if it is okay with him that we share a bed, then it's okay. We'll do it. Oh no, you don't gotta tell your husband? Yeah, I do, because that's the kind of relationship we have. So I called Greg. I'm so sorry. I've got like all these eye boogers on my eyes. Oh, it's so aggravating. Okay, anyway. I called Greg, and I told him the situation, and he's like, hell no, I'm not comfortable with that at all. I was like, yeah, I didn't think you were. I just wanted him to know that, he couldn't pull one over on me or on you, and that we share everything and we tell each other everything, and that if something happens, that you will know about it. So I got off the phone. I was like, yeah. I said, my husband's not okay with that. So, sorry. And like literally, dude, 10 minutes it took that man to put everything on the freaking seat right here. I told him, I was like, honestly, I said, dude, I'm short. I said it was piled up all the way to that side over here. I said, dude, that's plenty of room. I can just curl up in a ball and sleep. I don't need that whole space up there. But no, yeah, he took it down. It wasn't a problem. It's incredible how that works. So anyway, I ended up getting screwed over bad by night. Not just because, I mean, I got off the page altogether, and I was like, screw all these people. I can't stand these drivers. I mean, I had like a handful of people that I liked that were my friends that I talked to, and that was it. I said, screw the rest. I'm working for God, my family, and that's it. I don't care about anything else. So I needed to come home for 5 days for a medical emergency, and they told me I had to turn in my truck. Well, at this point, I was done fighting them. I was actually planning on quitting because I was done. So I said, fine, you know what? I'm gonna turn in my truck, and I'm just done. I'm done. I'm not coming back. Well, again, Greg convinced me to come back, and I went back, and they got me into a Volvo because I wanted something different. I had already driven, at this point, I couldn't get my same truck back, and they tried to put me in one that was like super trashed out. I wanted one just like it. It was an International, and it was a manual transmission, but I couldn't get into it. So I was like, you know what? I want to do something different. I'll do a Volvo, an automatic Volvo. Okay, I hadn't driven an automatic, haven't driven a Volvo. Let's go. It was so cozy in there, and it was so cute. It was so tight. But they had so much storage, man. And that truck drove like butter. Oh my gosh. Volvos are so nice. But after 4 hours, it broke down. And not to mention, there was like cosmetic damage when I got it. I had to put it in the shop to begin with to get that fixed. And then 4 hours into the trip, it broke down. They had to put it in the dealer. They had to bring it to the dealer. And they said it was going to be 2 weeks before she was ready. And they were going to put me up in a hotel. And I'm like, I'm in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm like, I'm not going to spend 2 weeks in a hotel when I can go home. And plus, it would save them money, right? They don't have to pay me breakdown. They don't have to pay for a hotel. It's a win-win. I waited for 2 weeks for this truck. 2 weeks for this truck. My husband came and got me. He came and got me, and I went home. All right. They thanked me for saving them all that money by giving my truck to another driver with my stuff on the truck. They're like, oh, are you okay with us, with the driver? We have a driver that needs this truck, and if you can't get here by noon today, which was a physical impossibility, considering, you know, there was no way I could get a rental car and go up there. My husband was at work. They knew this. They knew this in time to get there by noon. And I said, no, this is not okay. And I told them, I said, no, I will be there. I said, I will be there to get my, like they had already assigned this truck to somebody else. And I said, no, I will be there to clear out the truck. By the time I got there, the driver had taken all of my stuff and put it in boxes, and it was at the dealership. Dude, I was livid. I picked up my stuff. I went to the hotel. By this point, I had already scheduled to start at Total Transportation, which just so happened to be right across the street from the Volvo dealership where I was at. So they set me up in a hotel at the over there for the weekend, and I was going to start the following Monday, the subsequent Monday. And I get to the hotel, and Greg's coming to meet me because he's going to come stay the weekend with me. I hadn't seen him in a while. And so he comes up, and on the way up, I hear Jesus say, check your stuff. Because I wasn't going to check it. I was like, man, I'm tired. You know, I've been dealing with this crap. I'm just tired. I checked my stuff, and half of my stuff was still on the truck. clothes. I had my mattress topper, my CB radio, my fifth wheel puller, and I had given this man like all of my food that was left on there, all of the water I told him he could have. My trash can was on there, my rugs. Like, I'm talking like hundreds of dollars of stuff was still on this truck. This man was going to keep. He said, "Oh, I didn't realize that was your stuff. You want this mattress topper?" Yeah, bitch, it's my topper. I paid for it. Are you serious? Dude, the sheer audacity of these places. Okay, so like, I will never, ever, ever work for Night ever again. They can kiss it as far as I'm concerned. And as far as I'm concerned, they're not any better now. But I will say this. There are people, if you are a man, Night would probably work for you. As a female, I do not recommend it, because even the females are crap at this company. Like, they bully you, basically tell you that if you don't take the harassment, the sexual harassment and the bullying, because you're in a male predominant industry, and that's part of the job, and if you don't take it, you're just not tough enough to be out here. That's what they said. Boo boo, let me tell you, it takes a lot more strength and courage to stand up and fight for yourself and demand respect from people than it does to be their doormat. But you do you. That's you. Anyway, it's been 30 minutes, and that is my experience with the first two companies that I worked for. Those were actually the worst out of, with the exception of the last one I worked for before this one. But the next two should go pretty quickly. Let's see, I've worked for, I started out with CR England, then I went to Night, then I went to Total Transportation, then I went to Ozark, then I went to GP, and then now Crete. So I'll just cover two companies with each video, that way we're not here all night. I do have to go to bed, and but that was my experience with those two companies, and I do not recommend CR England to anyone. They had a trainer there that would try to rape the females. Okay, they did not fire him. Pretty sure that, like I said, pretty sure the standards haven't changed much. And I mean, this was hearsay. Now, I will say that this was hearsay. I didn't know this for sure, but the other drivers came and told me, make sure you don't get with this trainer. Okay, if they assign you this trainer, tell them you want someone else, because he always tries to rape the females. I'm like, why is he still here? But I guess they're so hard up for trainers that, you know, they have to get whatever they can get. So I don't recommend CR England at all. I know there's a lot of other starter companies that you can get with that train that are really good. I heard Schneider's good. I think Swift trains. I know Swift is a good company, but again, they're under Night, so I can't vouch for them too hard. I don't know how much has changed, but you know, they are a lot bigger company than, you know, so it'd be harder for them to, I don't know how this works. But anyway, that's my story for the first two companies I started with. And yeah, I do not recommend Night if you're a female, but if you're a man, you know, I do have female friends that are females. I do know females that did work there for a very long time and then it worked out for them. And hey, that's great. But just know what you're getting into. And it's literally like a high school. They have the cool kids. They have the troublemakers. They have the loosey goosey girls and guys, if you know what I mean, that just spread their stuff everywhere. And then they have the people that get bullied. Like, it's just ridiculous. It is so, like, grow up, bro, grow up. Ugh. It literally brought me back to middle school. I wouldn't even say middle school. I wouldn't even say high school. That's how freaking childish it was. But It is a giant company. They have like 4,500 trucks and or drivers. I'm not sure. If that's your speed, then hey, go for it. I will never work for them ever again. But anyway, I am grateful for the experience. It taught me a lot. You know, if we're doing the you know, well, I'll do that later. But yeah, I'm grateful for it. I am. It toughened me up, and it helped me to not be so quick to trust people out here. Because of what happened at CR England and Knight, Total had to earn their place in my heart and had to earn my loyalty and trust. I didn't just readily jump in like I did with the other two. I mean, they had to prove themselves to me a little bit. And yeah. But I'll tell you that story tomorrow. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I don't know, I hope it helps. I do recommend driving. This is one of the best things I've ever done with my life as far as a career goes. If you have a passion for driving and you love these big trucks and you want to be a part of a brotherhood that's incredible, that, you know, I love it. I absolutely love what I do. Like, this is not a job. And being a driver is not, like, it's not a job. It's an identity. It becomes a part of who you are. And it's like they say it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Like, it really is. And it is a huge sacrifice. It is. It's second to the military, you know. Military is top notch, number one. Their lives are on the line worse than ours, you know, and they actually are gone longer than we are, and they have a lot more, they sacrifice a lot more than we do. But you know, it's because of them that we're able to keep America rolling. So, you know, I appreciate it, and I just love being a part of something bigger than me, something that is important, you know. I mean, I just do one load at a time, and sometimes I'm like, oh, it's just toilet paper, you know, but people need toilet paper, you know. And it's so exciting. Gosh, I love it out here. I love it. So if it's something that you felt in your heart and you weren't sure about, take that leap, you know. And look, it's not for everyone, okay? If you come out here and you start to do it and you feel like this is not for me, don't feel ashamed. You know, you did it. Attaining your CDL is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. If you accomplish that, that's incredible. If you get out here and you find out that you hate it, hey, at least you tried. You know what I mean? But if it's something that's like really tugging at you, I say go for it. Go for it. You know, if you have the ability to leave and you don't have a whole lot of responsibility, that, you know, a whole lot of things that rely on you too heavily at home, you know, I kind of had no choice at the time. I wasn't planning on doing it until I was retired, or until my children left. That's what left the house. But God had a different plan for me. Whew, He's always got a different plan for me. I don't know why I get upset when He throws me for a loop. He's been doing it all my life. But anyway, I digress. It's just hot in here. Oh, I don't have the air all the way down. That could be a problem. But anyway, I will finish the story tomorrow, and I love you guys, and I'll see you later.